And a very good morning to all you Vaqueros and all you listeners. It's top of the hour here, 11 o'clock from our Edinburgh studio. Very nice day outside. Great day to listen to some sports. Welcome to All In with Ali, and let's get this week's show started with the recap of Week 10 of the NFL season. Now, last week when I came on here, I mentioned that the Ravens and Bengals game was going to be one of the games to watch in the Thursday night slot. Well, the only game to watch in the Thursday night slot, but I mean, I called that it was going to be a great game, and a great game it was. Ravens outlasted the Bengals 35-34 in this one. This was just a great showing by both offenses, by Joe Burrow, by Lamar Jackson. It's just a great display as well by Jamar Chase. I mean, he was running all over the field, and he had some great catches, some great runs in this, but ultimately the Ravens ended up outlasting the Bengals. And what this also a couple of concerns for both of these teams are their defenses. I mean, it was just absolutely no defense. None at all, none whatsoever. The offense took the show in this, and the defenses on both teams were just not doing anything, or they couldn't do anything to stop it, which to me raises some serious concerns about the validity of both of these defenses. But the most concerning thing I would say is Bengals head coach. That's some questionable decisions right there. I mean, especially towards the end of the game when they were down. I mean, passing on third and short in your own half, and then going for two at the end of the game instead of taking the tie and going to overtime. I mean, it's some questionable stuff, and the Bengals fall to 4-5 on the year. The Ravens, Ravens and Steelers are sort of racing up there for that top spot in the NFC North. Another game which I'm sure many listeners were tuned into and probably turned off after the third quarter of the game was the Eagles and the Cowboys. And I mean, I'm starting to run out of Cowboys jokes with how many poor losses this team has taken this season. I mean, it's just low-hanging fruit week after week, and there's a lot I've said about this team that I've said in previous iterations of this broadcast that I can just say again. I mean, absolute lack of defense. The defense has just been injured, and the offseason did nothing to address it. The Cowboys just can't seem to get anything going in the running game. And after losing Dak Prescott for the year, it shows that he was the only reason that this Cowboys offense was at least doing something in those losses. They looked totally lost without him. I mean, Trey Lance and Cooper Rush just put together an absolutely poor performance. And let me just go over real quick the schedule or the teams that the Cowboys are going to face for the remainder of the year, and you'll see why there's not really much hope with this team right now. As of today, the Cowboys are 3-6 after losing to the Eagles, and I mean, losing is an understatement. They were beat down in this game. Their next opponent is the Houston Texans, a good team that's looking for a get right after losing to Detroit this week. They're probably not winning that game. Next, they got the Commanders, who have been the best team in their division with a star of a young quarterback. They're not winning that game. Maybe they pull something off on Thanksgiving against the Giants, because as bad as the Cowboys have been, the Giants have just been one of the worst teams in football by their own merit. They probably pull through a win here. Then they face the Bengals. They're probably not winning that. The Panthers, maybe I could see that. Buccaneers, no. Then they play the Eagles again, and they have to go to Philly for this game. They're not winning it. And then they finish their regular season at home against the Commanders. They're probably not winning that game. And I mean, the one thing that surprised me with the Cowboys this year is how bad they've played at home. I've seen some Dallas Cowboy collapses and over the years, and especially at Jerry World, but they have not won a single game there. Not one. And for all you Cowboy fans who are listening, I don't know. let me know let us know your thoughts. But it's it's hard to see them winning more than 2 games the rest of the year. And another thing is the sun at Jerry World at AT&T Stadium. They spent like over $1 billion building that stadium, and it's directly facing the setting sun, which means that players get blinded every time they are trying to look towards the quarterback, trying to throw him a ball. All they see is the sun. They don't see the ball, and Jerry Jones has said that, to me, makes absolutely no sense why they don't put curtains up. I mean, when they host concerts in this arena, in this stadium, they put the curtains up, but not when the Cowboys play. And this is concerning because if they're not going to do it for the Cowboys, they're probably not going to do it because this stadium is set to host a World Cup semifinal in 2 years from now, less than 2 years from now. And that problem that Cowboys fans have been complaining about for a while, that Cowboy players have been complaining about for a while, the best soccer players in the world are going to travel to AT&T Stadium, and they're going to face the same issues in the bright sun. And if those curtains aren't brought down, we'll see those very same complaints. Well, that's enough about the Cowboys. Let's go on to my team, the Houston Texans, and that was just an absolute collapse by the Houston Texans. Let's just run it through. First half of this game, you score 23 points. You pick off you force Jared Goff to throw a few interceptions. You're pressuring him all throughout the first half. Things are going great, right? And then the third quarter just unravels. I mean, absolutely no adjustments on offense. No adjustments whatsoever. It just kept sputtering, and they just let the Lions slowly eat their way back into this game until ultimately, and by inches, mind you, they tie the game on a field goal, and they win the game on a field goal, which was just barely inches away from hitting the upright. That is just about as tough of a loss as you can take. I don't understand how. You forced Jared Goff to throw 5 interceptions. Great performance. This isn't on the defense. It's more on the offense for sputtering and forcing the defense to stay out there for so long. I mean, they were great, but they can't stop everything, you know? You have to at least keep scoring points if you want to win the game, you know? 5 interceptions and you still find a way to lose this game. And to be fair, Texans are 10 games in. They're 6-4 on the year. They can still, at the very least, make the playoffs, but the expectations were a lot higher going into this season for this Texas team, and it's tough to say it's anything more than a disappointment, especially with such a disappointing loss as the one we saw this week. And maybe something has to change at the offensive coordinator spot. Last year, Bobby Slowick, was the offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans. He was being looked at as potentially a candidate for head coaching jobs, and now it looks like now with him staying for another year, it looks like he's the reason that the Texans offense could possibly be sputtering all the time in the second half of games. I mean, you see no adjustments being made in their approach. The Lions adjusted. They did their homework. They knew what they had to do in the second half, and the Texans just didn't execute, and the Lions did. It's as simple as that. And with the Bears firing their offensive coordinator this week for reasons that their offense wasn't doing as good as expected, could we see Bobby Slowick in the hot seat? In my experience, probably not. The Texans tend to not fire coaches until it's way too late. We saw that with Bill O'Brien. He stayed for far longer than he should have. And it's going to be a tough one. But I think the Texans still end up making the playoffs. They just have to put this in the rearview mirror and get right back on track. They got the Cowboys coming up, which by all measures, this should be the get-right game if you're the Houston Texans. Let's look ahead to Week 11. Commanders and Eagles, the only 2 good teams in the NFC East, both with elite offenses. Jaden Daniels has just emerged. I think he's going to be a star in this league. He's played incredible. He's played some good football this year. And the Eagles have just played good, consistent football as well. So that should be a great game to watch. Another game to look forward to, Chiefs versus the Bills. Including the playoffs, Patrick Mahomes is 4-3 all time against Josh Allen, so it's pretty even. Bills coming into this with a chance to spoil Kansas City's undefeated streak, so that will be a great one to watch. And then last but not least, the Ravens and the Steelers both coming off tough wins against quality opponents. And as always, the AFC North, there's always an entertaining watch. Even if teams aren't doing good, the rivalries are always intense. And that will do it for the first segment. We'll talk some college sports in the next segment of the show. We'll take you to a music break here at Vaquero Radio. We'll be back after this message is don't touch that dial. More sports. And welcome back. Still top of the hour here in our Edinburgh studio. Welcome back to All In with Ali. Let's like to talk about the game that was featured on ESPN on College Game Day last week. Alabama blows out LSU in that game in what could be huge to determine not only the SEC championship, but will determine the playoff standings for college football this season. I mean, I went into it expecting a close game between two good teams, but that was all Alabama. It was all Alabama. Final score of that game, 42-13 for the Crimson Tide. They improved to 7-2, while the Tigers right now are fighting for their playoff hopes at 6-3. That was about as big of a win for Alabama as you could expect. Right now, as it stands right now, Alabama is ranked 9 in the country according to the Associated Press poll, while LSU moves down to the 21st spot. Now, there's been a lot of debate recently, especially regarding if Indiana is going to make it or not. Right now, they're 10-0 and 7-0 at home and 3-0 away. But as of right now, they are a 10-0 team. The Hoosiers are undefeated, but I've been hearing some rumors here and there that a couple of 3-loss SEC teams could be taking a spot that Indiana would get instead of Indiana, and it's complicated, especially with the new format. It's a brand new format that we don't know what to expect. It's going to be a lot more teams than the old 4-team format that was used previously, but we'll have more on that as we go along. And another tough watch for College Game Day was the tribute to Kirk Herbstreit's dog, Ben Herbstreit. I mean, that was a tough watch, and Ben was, as Kirk said, America's best friend, and anyone who's lost a pet that way, it will understand what Kirk went through, and good on Corso to support him through that in that on-air segment. It was a tough watch, and all the best to the College Game Day team and to Kirk Herbstreit. Some sports here at some grumblings here at UTRGV. In the basketball world, season is well underway. Women's basketball starting their season with a win against a Power 5 program in Houston at the Fertitta Center. This is a brand new look for the women's basketball team. I reported on the Rider. There was a big sense of optimism of it doesn't matter who's ranked what. We can take anyone and we'll take ourselves up until the moment we play them type of attitude, and that seemed to have paid off with the huge upset win against Houston. And the men's basketball team also starting their season. They just had their home opener, winning against champion Christian College in what was ultimately a huge blowout win. And it's the first win for rookie head coach or for first year head coach Cahill Fennell. Congratulations to him, and we're hoping for success for both our men's and women's basketball teams here at UTRGV. Just a real quick overlook right now. men's basketball as they stand right now, 1-2. Their next opponent, uh, they will go. They will go to Charleston Southern to play the Greenbrier Tip-Off in Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. They will play Charleston Southern on Friday the 15th, and VMI and Tennessee Tech on the 16th. Now for the women's basketball team, as they stand right now, 1-2 as well. Their next opponent is South Florida in Tampa, and their home opener will be on the 23rd on a Saturday at 2 p.m. against Arlington Baptist. When we come back, we'll keep talking more hoops. We'll speak of the pros, NBA action. We'll bring that up after this break from your local station. Blink-182 to close out the music break. Welcome back to All In with Ali, bottom of the hour here in our Edinburgh studio. And as I said, let's talk hoops. Let's talk the NBA. The In-Season Cup group stage has just started. And a couple of things I'd like to talk about first before we get into discussing the game from this first day of action that I want to discuss. I just wanted to mention that the courts, they're using a different color court for each team in the NBA Cup, and it's not a bad idea. I get what they're trying to do here. It's an in-season tournament. It's gonna have a different feel to it. So let's shake things up a bit with the court design, and it's been hit or miss. Some of them are like too brightly colored, but some of them, just right, and it gives the feeling this is very much a very different game, especially because this is barely the second year that they're running an in-season cup in the NBA. So yeah, I get what they're doing. But after that, let's get into the game that I really wanted to talk about, and that was the Warriors and the Mavs. Warriors and the Mavs in the group stage of this tournament, and when we were promised an exciting in-season tournament, something to play for, this is exactly what we were promised. I mean, it was about as incredible of a game as you could ask for. But I mean, first of all, Klay Thompson, who's now a Dallas Maverick, and the Warriors fans inside of the Chase Arena, they were all wearing the Klay Thompson captain hats, which, fitting tribute. Klay Thompson was a legend in Golden State. He played there for so many years, led them to so many titles, and it's kind of a sign that we're all getting a little older now that we're seeing Klay Thompson and Steph Curry guarding each other. I mean, I honestly never thought I'd see that. If you asked 10-year-old me if I would ever see that in my life, probably not. I would have assumed that Klay and Steph would stay Warriors together through the end of their careers. But at the end of the day, sports is a business, and we did see Klay and Steph guarding each other, and that's a bit of a reminder that that era is starting to pass us by, and that we are all getting a little older. But enough of me reminding myself of the impending of what's coming in the future. Anyway, vintage Steph Curry in the fourth quarter. I mean, it wasn't the Warriors because the Warriors were down towards the end of this game. It wasn't the Warriors that went on a 10-0 row, and it was Steph Curry. I mean, how many times have we seen him do it before? Where the end of the game, down to the wire, do or die, your team could get eliminated right here. He just took over and started raining bucket after bucket after bucket. I mean, this was vintage Steph Curry. And then his final shot to sort of put an end and put this game on ice, the dagger and the night. Classic Steph Curry. I mean, I've already said before, and it's not that hot of a take, that Steph Curry is the greatest three-point shooter of all time. There's really no debate. That debate ended so long ago, and he just proves it time and time again. He's just shows up. He's clutch. He's not the greatest player of all time. No, that's an entirely different debate before we get our wires crossed here. But the greatest pure shooter of all time is Steph Curry. And And he just took over, and we saw what vintage Steph could do, and we saw what we wanted to see with this tournament. We got more action in the NBA Cup coming up Friday. Spurs and the Lakers play each other. And speaking of the San Antonio Spurs, let's talk about last night's game against the Washington Wizards at home. Spurs move up to 500 after a bit of a slow start. They're starting to find their rhythm. They're starting to find their pace. And can we talk about Victor Wembanyama, man? Can we talk about Victor Wembanyama? I mean, that was just absolutely incredible. In 26 minutes, 50 points. 50 points in 26 minutes. And it wasn't just him racking up the points. No, it was the way in which he did it too. 8 from 16 from behind the arc. That was his career high in three-point shooting. I mean, this man's incredible. He is going to be a great player in this league for many years to come. His final stat line, 32 minutes played, 50 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. But 8 from 16 from behind the line, good for a 50% field goal percentage. I mean, we already know what he can do in the post. It's kind of hard to guard a man who's 7'4" in the post, in the paint. We know he can defend. We've seen him defend. He's an incredible defender, incredibly talented. We know he's a freak athlete. But now they got him shooting the basketball. The league is cooked, folks. Victor Wembanyama is here, and he's here to stay. All right. Well, that kind of wraps up the discussion here for basketball. For basketball this week, we'll talk some MLB offseason, some awards, some silverware to be handed out after the season is over, free agency and all that, and on this day in sports history. Coming up after this quick break. Don't touch that dial. We'll be back after this. You're listening to All In with Ali on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Saturday night on Vaquero Radio, but it's Thursday afternoon here at UTRGV, bottom of the hour on Vaquero Radio. Well, welcome back to All In with Ali. Let's sort of wrap this up. Let's talk about what's going on in the offseason in Major League Baseball. First off, with free agency, bit of some rumors flying around, because rumors, they're always going to be abound, especially with free agents as to who's signing who. And a lot of rumors have been surrounding Juan Soto. He's the biggest name on the free agent market right now. A lot of teams want in on him. A lot of teams want in on him, and why not? He's an incredible player. He knows how to get on base. He's got power. He performs in the playoffs, much to the expense of my Houston Astros, mind you, but that's besides the point. He performs. He performs in the playoffs. He's a great player, not so much of a great defender, but he's one of the best pure hitters in baseball right now. And so, keep in mind, take what I'm going to say about free agent rumors with a grain of salt, because again, these are rumors. But from what I'm hearing, Dodgers might be out on the Juan Soto sweepstakes. He might not be going to LA, but the Giants are in, the Red Sox are in, and the Yankees are keen to re-sign their star outfielder. And it's going to be a huge bidding war between those teams. Those are some of the biggest markets in baseball, but it feels like the Dodgers are going to prioritize spending in other areas and not overpay for Juan Soto, because he is going to demand a huge contract. Another rumor surrounding the Dodgers, I heard this rumor somewhere down the line of Max Fried possibly going to the Dodgers. Again, nothing is confirmed in stone yet, but whoever ends up picking up Max Fried is going to get an incredible pitcher. He's done it before. He's really good, and he's performed in the playoffs as well. So we'll have to see how much he commands there. But a confirmed signing I can tell you about that happened this week. Travis d'Arnaud, former Atlanta Braves catcher and New York Mets catcher, is going to the Los Angeles Angels for 2 years, $12 million contract. Maybe this is the Angels making a bid for Max Fried, because out of all the catchers in the major leagues, no one has caught more innings from Max Fried than Travis d'Arnaud. So, who knows? Maybe that could be something that factors into Max Fried's decision, but we'll have to wait and see. But Travis d'Arnaud is a Los Angeles Angel. He'll be going down to Anaheim for the next 2 years. Another big thing this offseason, Roki Sasaki, a star Japanese pitcher, just got posted by his club and is looking to sign with a major league team. He's getting posted a year earlier than expected, but a lot of teams that need pitching, and that's pretty much every team in baseball. You can never have too much pitching. He's going to command a decent deal, and a lot of teams want in on him. Of course, the Dodgers are going to be connected to him right away. I think the Astros might be at least, I would hope the Astros at least call his agent and see what's up there, because some rotation help would be very great for the Houston Astros moving forward. A lot of other teams that are also in need of rotation help will be looking in on this signing. Some silverware to hand out at the end of season awards regarding especially 2 Houston Astros receiving some silverware. Jose Altuve winning the 7th Silver Slugger of his career, who's Jose Altuve at this moment, I think only 2 players have like at least 6 or 7 Silver Sluggers, and one of them is Mookie Betts, who's also on a Hall of Fame track. So he's just building a Hall of Fame resume as Jose Altuve. He just got a deal that will extend him through the 2029 season. He's going to be in Houston for a while, and if anyone deserves the title of Mr. Astro, it's Jose Altuve. And then Alex Bregman winning his first Gold Glove at third base. I honestly thought he would have won one a lot sooner, but alas, he won his first Gold Glove. He's always played an incredible third base throughout his career, even despite what his agent is saying that he's been willing to move to second base for other teams. Astros do need to pick up Alex Bregman if they want to stay in this contention window that they've been on. They want to stay on this run they've been on since 2015. And the finalists for the 2 big awards in both leagues, the MVP and the Cy Young Award. In the American League, and in both leagues, we're down to 3 for each of the awards. These are the finalists who will be considered for the American League MVP. It's Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and Bobby Witt Jr. Judge and Soto a pair of Yankees, Witt with the Royals, all having incredible seasons, and Aaron Judge probably, I think, might end up taking this one, but it'll be close between Witt and Soto. For the Cy Young Award, Seth Lugo, Tarek Skubal, and reliever Emmanuel Clase are the finalists for the Cy Young Award. And Emmanuel Clase, he's the first reliever since Francisco Rodriguez in 2009 to be considered as a finalist for this award. He pitched an incredible season during the regular season, did Clase, but he had some struggles in the postseason. But I think the clear and cut Cy Young winner is Tarek Skubal. There's no one else you could really give this to. I mean, he shoved on the mound almost every time he was there. He was incredible. He won the Triple Crown. You got to give it to him. Now for the National League. MVP considerations down to 3. Francisco Lindor of the Mets, Shohei Ohtani from the world champion Los Angeles Dodgers, and Ketel Marte from the Diamondbacks. I don't know if Marte is going to get much consideration out of the top 3 spot. I think it's a 2-headed monster in this MVP race, and it has been all year, was between Francisco Lindor and Shohei Ohtani. Lindor, great hitter, leadoff hitter, captain of the Mets, incredible defender, and Shohei Ohtani, historic numbers, 50-50 club. It's going to be a very, very tough race between the two. And then I think Ohtani might just take it a bit over Francisco Lindor just because of the 50-50 season he had offensively, and he hasn't even pitched in a Dodgers uniform yet. He has not pitched in a Dodgers uniform yet, and he's getting MVP consideration. So this is going to be a very close one. Now down for the Cy Young Award, it's down to Sale, Paul Scanes, and Zach Wheeler. And this one is honestly a toss-up because there are three incredible pitchers who have done great things in the National League this year. It's going to be close, and you could basically flip a coin, and any one of these 3 incredible pitchers could end up winning the Cy Young Award. Now, on this day in sports history, In 1966, Muhammad Ali wins the heavyweight title that year against Cleveland Williams by total knockout in 3 rounds. In 2010, Sebastian Vettel wins his first World Drivers' Championship by winning in Abu Dhabi. He outlasted title challenger Fernando Alonso by 4 points to end the year. And with that win, he also secured the first constructors' title for Red Bull in their history. And last but not least, in 2018, on this day, Jacob deGrom wins the Cy Young Award in the National League. He is the pitcher with the fewest wins in a season, with 10, to win a Cy Young Award. Despite winning only 10 games to his ledger, he posted a 1.70 ERA across his season. And I mean, Jacob deGrom that year was just an incredible pitcher. It's just that his team really wasn't helping him win. And so that's why, partly of the reason why wins is a meaningless stat for pitchers, because there's a lot of things outside of your control that could cause you to take a loss on your record. Well, that's going to wrap up the discussion for this week. I'd like to thank you so much for listening to All In with Ali. If you know anyone who would be interested in this type of content, just let them know. Let them know to tune in Thursdays from 11 to 12. We'll be here. Some important programming notes to keep in mind for the next week. As always, office hours at 10 a.m. tomorrow with DJ Doc V here in our Edinburgh studio. On Mondays, we have a busy one. Newscast at 11, Vaquero Insider at 12:30, and The Lounge at 2 p.m. Tuesdays, 11:30 RGV Community Hour, and 4 p.m. Coffee Noise. Wednesdays, the newscast again, and quick hop into hip-hop at 3 p.m. Library Talk at 10, and of course, right here in Edinburgh with yours truly on All In with Ali. Next week, we'll have a special program for you. Will be the last one of the semester. The last time you get to hear my voice until next semester. So we'll have a lot of content ready for you. We'll have some good discussion. We'll have some great sports talk. We'll bring you all of that next week. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's edition of All In with Ali. And that was it, folks. Tune in next week for the final show, and we'll see you after this. Have a great one.